You're listening to the Public Health Entrepreneurs Podcast with your host, Dr. Charlotte Huntley. Greetings, everyone, and thank you for joining me on this episode. I'm going to be answering another question on this episode. I really enjoy getting your questions and being able to have a chance to dive into them on this podcast. But I've received this question several times. The question is, how do I attract paying clients instead of those who just want me to do work for free? That's an important question to answer. And some of your ears may have perked up because maybe this resonates with you. I think it's a great question. I'm happy to dive into it and share my perspective on this episode. On this podcast, we explore topics of interest for professionals like you at the intersection of public health and entrepreneurship. My name is Dr. Charlotte Huntley, and I'm really happy that you've decided to join me on this episode. I'm a public health entrepreneur with over 25 years of experience in both healthcare and in public health, and I've supported a lot of entrepreneurs along the way. Here are some strategies. I've narrowed it down to about 5 to make it bite-sized for this episode that I think are going to be helpful for you in attracting paying clients and increasing your income, your revenue into your business. I wish I could talk about this. I wish I had room and time to dive beyond 5 tips or strategies, but I do have to narrow things down in a way to make them bite-sized. But in our Mastermind Group program, this is ongoing discussion. It comes up depending on the members' needs. So as people come in to the Mastermind Group program and where they are in their business, it's usually getting started. We say yes to everything because we want to get, we want clients, we want to be busy, we do work, we want to get exposure. And then sometimes we find ourselves overwhelmed and not everything we do is profitable or bringing any revenue in. And it's not bad. So if you find yourself in this position, think of it as part of learning and growing as a business owner, and don't beat yourself up if you feel this, as your situation. But here's some things that you can consider as you look to attract more profitable or paying clients to your business and kind of repelling those that aren't going to pay for your services. So the first thing I would suggest is to make sure you start with testing, validating your service and your offer in the market. Narrow down to a target market. Identify the specific groups or organizations that are most likely to pay for your services, such as maybe if you're consulting, you may be thinking about particular healthcare providers or government agencies or private companies that are interested in employee wellness, for example. You want to really know who those specific groups are or organizations are that are most likely to pay for your services. That's an important clarifying point, knowing your target market. Once you have that, the next strategies will just feel automatic. But without having that clarity, then I don't think any of the rest of these will work. So another tip for you beyond that one, that's the only one that's in a specific order. The rest of them are not in a specific order. So you have to do that one first. Okay, so the next strategy or tip I have for you is to offer tiered pricing models. So maybe you could create different service levels to cater to various budgets and needs. And not really that you need to cater to their budget, but sometimes you may start with a new organization. Maybe you've never worked with them before, or they bring you in on an introductory level type of project. And once you complete that project, the very next step may be to the next tiered offer in your model. And then maybe if there's 3 tiered, pricing levels, maybe after they've established a rapport and relationship with you, you work with them for a while. It's really mutual. Like that client works with you for a short period to make sure that you're able to do the work and it's a good fit, but you're also getting to know them. And it gives you an opportunity to make sure that it's a client that you enjoy working with, that you would want to take to maybe the next tier in your model. This can be extremely valuable. And I see this used effectively quite often. And we've incorporated something similar in our strategy for consulting as well in the past. So that's an option for you. Another strategy here is to maybe provide free samples strategically. And I throw that in there because some of you don't need to offer anything free. Maybe you decide that your lowest price offer will be $5,000. but you really want those clients that will pay you $20,000 on a project. So maybe you have an offer that a part of that is at the $5,000 price range. It starts there, nothing less. And maybe there's something that you do and you complete for them at that price point. And then maybe the next one is 15 or 20,000. And then maybe there's something else that's more like a retainer model. Now I'm getting a little long-winded, but that's the tiered pricing. So separate from that, and some of you can stick to that and not need anything differently. But for others, providing free samples strategically could be a good way to go. So instead of giving away full services, offer limited free consultations or a workshop to showcase your expertise, and then gives them a chance to see the value of your paid offerings. You need to be very careful here and exercise some really good boundaries. I think this is where a lot of people will fall into trouble, or maybe have gotten into a little bit of trouble, where they've offered these free samples and then maybe they're finding that people just want more and more of that free, but they're not moving to the next level. So you really have to have those good solid boundaries with your clients if this is where you are. I'll give you an example of that, of this, which is with our podcast. This podcast it costs us to produce. It's not a free resource in the true sense, because it costs us to produce this podcast, but we make it available free as a free resource to all of you. So you're listening and you're able to listen to any of the episodes that we've released. And I do a lot of coaching and sharing information and answering questions and providing value on these episodes. This is my free resource. These are free samples. And I tell you on every episode how you can work with me. So we always talk about our Mastermind Group program, which is our signature program. And I know that all of the people that listen to the podcast will not opt in or apply or even enroll into our Mastermind Group program. But we do know that a few people will. So we provide these free samples in a very strategic way in hopes that we will be able to attract our ideal client types, and we'll attract those people at the right moment to our Mastermind Group program. And that time could be very extended. Some people will listen and they're ready on the very next enrollment period. But some people may listen to the podcast and it might be a year or even longer before they're ready and at that point where they will want to come to our Mastermind Group program. So that's a very strategic move on us for the podcast, a little behind the scenes for you. So depending on what your service and offerings are, having a free resource in a way that is very strategic so that it gives people a sample of what you're offering and it helps them to get to know you. And then when they're ready to take the next step, it's easy for them to take that next step with you. So if you don't have a podcast, I'm not suggesting you run out and start a podcast, but maybe it's a newsletter that you're offering where they get a chance to connect with you and you share resources. And then when they're ready to work with you, then they know how to reach, go to that next level offering in your business. Okay. Okay. Let's see, we're at number 4 now. So my next tip for your strategy for you is to build credibility and authority. I often talk about thought leadership. This is incredibly important. You could do this a number of ways. We do it through we help our members of our Mastermind Group program build this authority at our public health roundtable discussions that we host every month live. You can do this by, if you publish research, if you contribute to industry publications of some type, if you establishing yourself as an expert in your field in any way through any type of thought leadership. Speaking at conferences is another example. All of this can help justify a premium pricing in your offerings. So build some credibility and authority by establishing this thought leadership, and then it helps to bridge that gap. People are not going to assume that you're going to do these things for free because you've established your authority and you're really justifying that premium pricing. So this is a great strategy for a lot of you who are, and I'll even go a step further here. Maybe you are speaking a lot for free and you really want to get those paid speaking gigs and you have a hard time saying no because people are used to you showing up and speaking for free. I recommend that you start filtering and making a decision about where you decide to speak for free. If you are going to be presenting to an audience of people who could potentially be your clients, if they're your ideal client types, then absolutely. I mean, that's almost like free advertisement. If you decide to speak for free there, it could be a great way to connect with those people in the audience who are, likely your next clients could come from that. So if you have an opportunity to share something with them or pitch to them from the stage, that's a great leveraging tool. On the other hand, if you're speaking for free and those are not your ideal clients and it can be very demanding and draining, then that's where you learn how to say no, because it's not going to get you closer to your paying client. It's not going to attract your paying client to you. Okay, I won't go any further down that. Okay, finally, my last tip for you is network and form partnerships. I think it's great to build relationships with complementary businesses or organizations that maybe they can refer paying clients to you. So if you are a complementary type of service, I wish I had a really good example right now. Well, one comes to mind is I used to do career coaching. So I would coach students who were working on their degree in public health or maybe recent graduates trying to get their first jobs or, getting into the field of public health. I would offer career coaching. After a few years of that, I moved into really focusing on supporting entrepreneurs and really didn't offer career coaching anymore. So I would refer people who would come to me and ask for career coaching. And I would say no to that, but I would refer them to someone else because after a while, I started to get to know others who were offering those services and make those recommendations, or people that I knew who were doing resume writing. It wasn't that I had to come up with a recommendation for them, but I would often refer people in their direction. And then they would do the same thing in return because they were the entrepreneur, but they really weren't wanting to help people who were starting businesses or wanting consulting. They wanted to help the career coach focused people. So I would refer the career focused people to them and they would refer the entrepreneurs to me. So that was a great kind of win-win situation. That's an example that I come up with, but there are a lot more broadly, those complementary services. So if you just put your thinking cap on and get a little creative, you can find quite a few, I'm sure, in your network. And it could be fun to building those relationships will help you just naturally find the ways to refer paying clients to each other. All right. So I'll just recap because I went through a lot. The first thing you need to do, I put this one as first, is make sure that you've defined your clear target market. You've identified, you've validated your services and you have identified a specific group or organization that's likely to pay for services that you're offering. The second or next tip that I offered suggested was offering tiered pricing models where you have maybe a lower price point, a middle price point, a higher price point, or 3 different services where your clients can actually kind of move along the offering with you over time. The third suggestion I had was providing free samples strategically, which gives people a sample, a taste of what it's like to work with you, but knowing your boundaries. I give you a few watch outs there. Number 4 was build credibility and authority, like your thought leadership, and reminding you that this can help justify those premium pricing when you really establish yourself with some authority in the field. And number 5, networking to form those partnerships. People who have complementary businesses, those organizations can be fun to partner with and get to know those people. And like I said, very naturally, you begin to refer clients to each other. Now, those are just some of the ways that you can attract paying clients to you. And that's very important in our businesses, right? Which one of these strategies stands out the most to you? Which one do you think you will put some action to? I'd be really curious to hear from you on that. You are welcome to comment on our show notes page at the bottom. You can add comments on any social media post as well. I'd love to hear your thoughts if you would like to share with us. Before we go, I've mentioned our Mastermind Group program a little earlier, but I'd like to tell you a little bit more about it and how you can find out more for yourself. It is best suited for entrepreneurs that are established. We work together online and also gather together in person for a 2-day retreat, and we do that twice a year. It is phenomenal. I am biased, yes, but all of our members love our retreats. I think that they are just above and beyond, and I absolutely love them. They're fun for our team as well. If you'd like to know more about our Mastermind Group program, now, in addition to the retreats, we meet together online on a regular basis. We have a private community. There is so much to our Mastermind Group program that really supports your business. You can visit publichealthentrepreneurs.com. That's our website to find out. We've got a lot of information there about the Mastermind Group program. If it looks interesting to you, I encourage you to submit an application. That is the only way that we invite people to join our Mastermind Group program during the open periods is just to the people who've actually submitted the application. That's the only way that we know you're truly interested. So we do follow up with you, make sure that all of your questions are answered so that when it's time for enrollment, you've already made your decision. You know for sure if you want to be a part of it, if it's a good fit. Enrollment is only open during June and December. So if you're listening at the time that this episode is released, you know that is right around the corner. And our next retreat that will be in February of 2025 happens to be in San Diego. We're very much looking forward to that. So please submit your application. We'll follow up with you, answer all your questions if you're interested in our Mastermind Group program. All right, everyone. Until next time, have a fantastic rest of your day. Thank you for listening. Visit publichealthentrepreneurs.com to learn more.